All right, folks, I'm finally going to do it. Enough of you have asked me who the best rogue in the game is, which rogue you should get first, next, whatever. So I've created a tier list in the hopes that this will answer this question so I can direct you guys to this, and therefore you can make the decisions based on the information that I provide, and maybe if you think you should change the tier list around. But without further ado, let's just get into the list so you can see who I rate A, B, C, and D. All right, so the characters at the bottom of the screen right over there are going to be in alphabetical order. So it's going to start with Anvil. I'm just going to go straight through just like that. We're not going to go A, B, C, and D. We're going to kind of bounce around a little bit. So you can see the order there. If you want to skip around, see where your character falls, you can, once again, just go off of that list at the bottom. So Anvil will be first. Anvil is going to end up for me in the C tier. Reason why is he's super situational. His shield can be used for like diffuses or plants or things like that on certain maps, so works a lot better than others. And then of course, his C4 is very strong. That's something that's always going to knock somebody up a little bit because of the strength of that C4. That keeps him out of D tier. The fact that he can be brought in on certain situations, certain comps or strategies for that shield and C4 usage, as well as being immune to flashbangs, keeps him out of the D tier, gives him a little bit more because his weapons are kind of Next up is going to be Chalk. So Chalk was an interesting one for me because I couldn't decide where I wanted to put him at first. I was like thinking of all these scenarios, like, oh, it could be in this tier or that tier, maybe over here actually. And ultimately I decided that he should be in the B tier. So I'll move him on up and then I'll break it down as to why. So he's really good at getting you into sights. He can use his ability in one of two ways. One of them, beats on his chest, runs into the side with some extra HP, can eat some extra bullets, take a fight early on. He's a breacher, can get you into that site. Or if he goes down and has the opportunity, he can res himself if he hasn't used his ability for the previous benefit. And that is pretty huge, right? Being able to get yourself back into a fight, not give up too much ground by being taken down is ultimately going to change around in a lot of ways. Then you have the fact that he has flashbangs, which are super useful, especially now that Fixer has kind of made smokes a little less optimal for most compositions. And then his weapons are okay, like they're pretty decent. Lots of ammo in that SMG. Shotgun's really not bad. And so he has managed to bring himself up to the B tier. If the super smoke heavy meta was still here without Fixer, I would maybe have him drop to C, but he might still be able to hold on and just be like a little bit of a lower tier B. But for now, Chalk is going to stay right there in the B tier. I don't think anybody is going to be surprised by the next character. That is Dahlia ending up in the A tier. Dahlia is an insane character. The potential there, linking for all the different passives depending on what you need at that time, extra nades or helping a character revive, you know, by linking to Chalk so he has double life. And I mean, there's just the opportunities are really endless with her in terms of just linking with different characters and figuring things out. Then you go into her weapon kit. She has one of the best DMRs in the game, if not the best DMR in the game, really it is, in the form of the MXR. And then her SMG is also like really, really good. She has cookable grenades. She has tenacity, which is very, very important. Not getting naded out of her C4 right away off of things. Very, very good. That keeps Dahlia in the top tier. She is a character that you will probably see in nearly every composition at the high level. Oh, Dallas, the first character ever played and leveled up all the way to Mastery 8. You're a D tier. Dallas will be the first character going into the D tier. As you can see, I have already moved him there. Dallas just doesn't have a whole lot to offer. His abilities can be countered by a relatively inexpensive perk. His weapons are decent, but like you need to hit all your shots. Like they require you to hit all of your shots or you're probably not going to win the fight against most other weapons. And his just not got a lot to offer to a team in a, you know, a demolition environment. He's just not really the go-to. You're almost always going to find a reason to pick somebody else over him. And that's what lands him as our first character in the D tier. But don't worry, he's not going to be there alone for long. Dima is actually also going to end up in the D tier. Now, he does have a buff coming to his ability, his Q, that could maybe see him go up, but it's kind of hard to imagine unless they really expanded that range. It can clear out like an enormous radius. I just don't see it changing a whole lot. He's got grenades, which are good. His ability isn't bad for clearing out a spot, but it's also counterable by the trophy systems from like a trench or an anvil. And outside of that, again, he has like okay weapons. The mom is very good, but every time you think about him, you try to think where to put him. He he doesn't really deserve anything else. So let's see if the buff changes anything, but right now I don't think it will, and I think Demon will probably end up staying a D tier, bottom C at best. And now we move on to the latest rogue into the game, and that is Fixer. Let's just skip right to it. Fixer is absolutely A tier. Almost every single composition in the 8K qualifiers, anything like that, they have a Fixer. A Fixer is almost absolutely required because of his weapons being insanely strong. The tier can 2-tap body shots. Don't even have to go for headshots. Headshots are great though. And then being able to see through smokes so that a lot of executes get disrupted, or shoot, you throw the smoke in the middle of their team, you crack your vision, you run with your pistol, which again is probably one of the best pistols in the game. It is very strong. The warrant is insane. He has C4, so you add that on top of it because C4 is stupid powerful. Nerf C4, please. There's just, the Fixer is easily A tier. If there was an S tier, he would be battling for that alongside of Dahlia. I mean, he is insane. Almost every composition needs him right now. We'll see if the whole Phantom Smoke thing can change that up, but I don't think it will, because getting a Phantom to hard counter a Fixer when you could just get a Fixer, which is better than Phantom in almost every way, I just don't see that really change anything. But A tier for Fixer. Let's move on to the next one. All right, so now we have Glitch. Glitch is an interesting one because I find a lot of people don't really enjoy playing him, even though his weapons are pretty decent. He gets flashbangs, which are awesome. But his ability is really just to ruin other people's abilities, and people don't really like that. Like, they want to do something themselves, but he can be very, very good in a competitive demolition environment. So if we assume that once they fix this trophy system thing, which, you know, they're working on, he'll be able to get rid of those two and therefore limit the amount of utility you have to throw away towards a site that has a trench on it or an anvil or something like that. Most of the time trench. That's huge. Being able to shut down trophy systems as well as the barbed wire and all that stuff will stop these kind of solo trench site holds and allow you to save some of that utility for taking the site or the post plant situation, so on and so forth. So a good glitch that is optimally used once his whole trophy system bug is fixed can really change the game depending on the composition of your opponent. Because of that, Glitch is going to end up in the B tier. Now we move on to Lancer. Lancer is my favorite. She's the most fun character to play. I can't imagine anybody having an argument against that, with her roll to reload and potential for multi-kills, which is one of the reasons that she is going to land in the A tier. So in regular pubs and things like that, she's like ridiculous, right? Like being able to find the holes in the defense that are more often there in like a less competitive environment, like you're not going against a team in a tournament, and punishing them for that is huge. Being able to get your life steal and just roll away after a down with full HP and new ammo and just be able to chain kills together and make big plays and be sneaky, and it allows for a lot of fun play styles and to be able to really change around with a quick 2K or 3K. And so that's going to land her in the A tier. Now, in high level competitive play, a lot of the aspects of playing her, like finding the holes in the defense, they're a lot harder. Getting good flanks. Most teams at the higher level are aware you're a Lancer. They will leave somebody to catch you off guard, and because it's a third person game, you try to run through, get a flank, they're waiting for you, they get the free kill, you've given them the advantage in the round. So there are definitely some drawbacks to it. The better teams you're starting to go against, the higher level you get to. But for now, I mean, it's hard to take her anywhere else other than A tier. She just has so much potential. Oh, Phantom, how the mighty have fallen. They added a character that is literally better than you in every single way, except for you have more shots in your chamber. So yeah, Phantom is actually going to end up being C tier in this, and that is because, as I said, Fixer is better in almost every single way. She can't see through smokes. Her smoke shows vision if somebody goes into it, but that's it. It still blocks her vision to the other side and everybody else's. She doesn't really do, I mean, she does 10 more points of damage to the body. You know, he can chain together shots faster. Hers takes more time. And so before this, she had the potential, if you had a good composition around you with good communication and like you weren't just getting flooded every time as a Phantom, to really change a game, being able to get some quick headshots and knock some opponents down. But now, I mean, you just pick Fixer for that, and Phantom has been knocked down quite a bit in terms of the tier list because there's just not really a big reason to pick her, other than the fact that if you hit headshots, hey, you get a knock. So C tier it is. So this one might surprise some people, but Ronin for me is actually going to end up in the C tier. So the reasons why that she's going to end up there is going to be that she has decent weapons, pretty strong, can win a lot of engagements. Her gadgets are good. She has the nade, she has the dagger, she has smokes, so like she can kind of do anything and everything. Some fun plays with a dagger if you want to throw it, shoot it, leave it as something that gets you information. If you're trying to hold off a choke point, throw it up above it. They got to come out and shoot it. It gives up their position, or they're going to blow up to it. All right, so there's a lot of utility there. Her passive, though, is probably the best part, being undetectable, aka like you can't get revealed and things like that. Huge. But in a team environment, what does she add other than like utility that a lot of other characters have and can be better at? Not a lot. So unless you know they're running like a heavy reveal lineup, or you just need to really dodge a talent or something like that, probably don't need a Ronin. So now we move on to Saint, the designated healer. Well, kinda, he was. And then, you know, they added some more. So Saint to me is still very good. He's going to land himself in the B tier, so maybe not as high as he used to be, but you know, Chalk can res himself. Dahlia can res people, just needs to be within range. They have to shoot the person, they can't shoot the drone above like a half wall or something like that. So there's some benefit to that. She also gets his ability, he does not. But with his, of course, he gets health, they get health. So there are benefits to it. Then it really came down to, can his weapons keep up? And to me, yes. So that's why he's going to stay up here. His Mamba in the right hand is insanely powerful. You can get burst down very quickly. You land a good one burst, hit a headshot in that, and next thing you know, they can't take a fight with you. Or you only need to land like one of the next 3 bullets, you know? Like it's a very, very strong weapon. And so Saint to me being able to res teammates at any distance, right? That range on the heal, as well as being able to deal significant damage with his Mamba and decent gadgets. Perks are pretty solid. I think that Saint still deserves to be at least B tier, and so that's where he's going to end up for me. Now, those of you tuned into my stream, twitch.tv/Harburg_TV, know that I have often said Scorch is overrated. Well, I'm gonna stick with that. Scorch is a D tier rogue for me. Scorch doesn't add a whole lot. You know when you need Scorch is when you want to like defuse a bomb and you know they have Molotovs, and so you send them in there and then she doesn't get burned. And other than that, yeah, there's almost always a better option. So welcome to D tier Scorch. You're just not that great. But have no fear, if you are a Talon, Trench, or Vi main, there are no more characters going in the D tier. Next up is going to be Talon, and he is going to get placed in the B tier. Now, this is because he has C4, incredibly strong. I hate C4 once again, please nerf that. His dart is amazing for information. Being able to put it in, especially on certain maps, where you can get a lot of information without showing the dart and having the chance to get shot down, or having to reveal yourself to get a good dart. You throw that sucker into a wall, it gets that whole bit of information for a choke point or something like that, so you know if they're pushing that site, how many there are, 2, 3, 4 players, you know, it can allow for rotations, stuff like that. If they hear the dart on the other side of the wall, but they can't get to it, next thing you know, they're like, well, we can't push through here, it's too much info to be given up. So a lot of potential there with that. He also has flashbangs, which, you know, if you play this game, if you've been within like a freaking mile of a flashbang, you know that it can blind you and it lasts forever, and you'll probably end up losing that engagement. He doesn't have great weapons, but I think because of the rest of his kit, the information gain, the flashbangs, the C4, he still gets to maintain his spot in the B tier. So that's it for Talon. Now we move on to Trench. Trench is one of the characters that when everybody joins my stream, like, who are the best characters in the game or whatever, who should I play? I always say, well, if you want a lot of utility, you want the potential to hold site yourself, very strong character in terms of his weapon, aka the MXR, amazing DMR, go with Trench. Trench is a great character. He's going to end up in the A tier for me. So he's going to join some other really strong characters. And that is, of course, his utility. Being able to get 3 trophy systems is ridiculous. With the glitch not being able to target them currently, it's way more powerful than it probably should be. And then, of course, being able to throw the barbed wire down to stop pushes from being too quick. Throwing it in good spots where they have to open themselves up to you to take it down, or, you know, use a grenade or a bit of utility to get it out of the way. Very, very good. And I mean, that coupled with his weapon, I mean, it's hard not to imagine Trench earning a spot in the A tier. Last up is going to be Vi, who will also end up in the A tier. So that is going to be because, I mean, she just has so much utility. Her poison traps can stop rotations. They can hold choke points from aggressive pushes. They can be great for post plant. They can be great when somebody's trying to plant the bomb. I mean, there's just so many things when somebody's trying to defuse the bomb. Then she has the Molotov as well. So the amount of area control that she has and the amount of damage she can do without ever having to shoot her weapon is just so high that it's hard not to pick her. Her weapons are also pretty strong. SMG got a buff. She's just an all-around very, very strong character in the game currently with what she can do with her abilities. And so, I mean, you can't put Vi anywhere other than in the A tier. Well, there you have it, folks. That is my tier list. I'm sure some of you will agree, some of you will disagree. I'd love to hear all about it. Let me know down in the comments where you think some of these characters I messed up on, which ones you think I nailed perfectly in terms of where they should be. I want to hear your feedback. It should be fun. Let's have some conversation down in the comments below. Also, if you want to discuss this live, you can come on my stream at twitch.tv/heartbreaker_TV. Would love to see you guys there. Make sure you guys like and subscribe to the YouTube channel here. And thank you guys so much for tuning in.